Hey everybody, it's Sam from High-Vis LEDs and the Fire Tech brand, and I'm here with my friend Jeremy.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in.
National Fire Radio?
National Fire Radio.
That is awesome. Well, we thought we'd get together today and kind of chat a little bit about what's happening here at FDIC. We're here in Indianapolis right now.
I think we're a little bit of like brothers from another mother. Like, the other day, so we connected, social. I mean, the big thing about this, right, is bringing forth the message through the platforms of where you can deliver and people are watching and listening.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Social media is super important, and as much as it's demonized in the American Fire Service, it's also, I think, one of the best tools we have in the American Fire Service.
Absolutely. It's funny, you talk about being demonized. I've been on so many times the fire department's like, I can't post that online.
Right?
I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't post it online. That's the tool we have to connect with the world is social media.
We can't allow for us to hide.
Yeah.
Right? When we're doing good things, we want to share it with the world. When you're in a fire department or a fire company that's doing good things and mission accomplished, and you got a high running through the firehouse, you want to share that.
Yeah.
It's infectious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Job well done, or even if you learn something, it's like, hey man, that thing goes so hot. I think that's super important.
100%. So we started National Fire Radio 4 years ago to be a social media platform where we capture the culture and tradition of the American Fire Service by interviewing senior guys.
That's awesome.
Right? I get to do this and talk to some of the coolest dudes. Like this morning, I did a live over in another manufacturer's booth, and I talked with two amazing chiefs out of Houston Fire that are dear friends.
That's
and
awesome.
The storytelling that came out of that is incredible.
That's awesome. So your guys' company is a social media kind of deal. You guys do video content. So
go ahead.
Who do you get? How do you generate that content? How are you reaching out to folks?
So we are all about original programming.
Oh, cool.
So we're not a repost and share group, right? I'm not going to take somebody else's content, put my spin on it, and spit it out because I wasn't there to take the picture or the video. So who the hell am I to tell you otherwise?
Yeah.
Part of social, and we'll get into that, but for us, it's all about original content and bringing value. You got to bring value.
Yeah.
And I say that to other social media guys. I bring that to the manufacturers.
Yeah.
There's a ratio in the value you have to bring.
Yeah.
And if you're taking more than you're giving, you lose, right? So for me, and you and I have had this conversation because Fire Tech, right? You guys, High-Vis, you guys are all about the customer.
Yeah.
Right? Your warranty, your customer service, the way you talk to people, it's amazing.
It's funny, when I see guys wearing suits and ties, it cracks me up. Because, man, I'm a fireman too, in our little small town. And I've seen when the light breaks or something and then the truck goes out of service, you're waiting on it to come back. It's like, dude, I got to get that thing out there first because I don't want to have a problem. If it's my fire truck, I want it in service. And that's how we treat our customers,
I think the humility and the ability to be a human, to talk with people, and to provide a valued customer service. I don't care if it's a business. I don't care if it's your fire company. I don't care if it's how you talk to your parents.
Yeah.
Be a human.
Yeah.
Be nice.
You know what's funny? So you talk about being nice and being a human. What I find in the fire service, I like to go ride with fire departments, see how they do things. And sometimes I feel like people forget that firemen are in the business of customer service. I say this all the time, customer service and emergency service oftentimes go hand in hand, and we have to be nice to each other and to our customers and the general public. And ultimately, sometimes grandma needs a hug. We still got to show up and give her a hug. That's our job. Make her feel better and get back to work.
One of the funnest things I love to do is when you're standing out on the apron, and we all deal with this at the firehouse. The doors are up. Somebody pulls in. Now, not as much with GPS and so on, but somebody pulls in for directions.
Oh yeah.
Right. I love to stand there because I'm an engager, right? I'm like you, man. We're animated. We're people. I'll go talk with anybody, and next thing you know, we're hugging, right? That's how I am. But I love to watch guys figure out who's going to go out and talk to the public. Yeah. Who's going to give her directions? I'm like, why don't we all go out there and talk to her?
Say, hey, exactly.
Engage her, engage this person, and so on. Those are those fun things. But I think that's so important. And I think for guys like yourself, with the company that you have and you represent, and the way you talk about your product, it's infectious because you're a people person, and it matters. It matters. You make a connection. I went in a booth the other day. They're all wearing suits, right? I'm like, who died?
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this, a funeral?
Yeah,
a wedding?
exactly.
What are we doing here? You got to be able to know your community. You got to know how to be able to communicate. And for us, that's what we do. We put out content that I think brings value. Back to that value proposition, I have to give at least 51%. If I'm taking more than I give, we're going to lose. You're not in it for the right reasons then.
So what kind of content? You guys create all sorts of stuff. You're talking tips and tricks. Tell me a little bit about the apparatus innovations. What is that?
Yeah, so outside of the podcast, we do, on our Instagram is very strong, we do what we call apparatus innovations, #apparatus innovations. What we figured out was through all the apparatus that are being built across the country, custom fire apparatus, everybody does it differently.
Yeah.
You guys are in North Carolina. I'm
Yep.
in New Jersey. I know guys in California and Iowa and everywhere in between. You guys build your trucks to suit your geographic location and how you operate. You guys might know something that I don't, and
Yeah.
you take for granted that you know it.
Sure.
Right? You're like, oh, we've always done it this way.
Yeah,
And
of
I'm
course.
like, I've never seen this before.
Well, like your glove
Why-
trick I saw the other day.
Right?
Throw a glove over. You got to build a whole box. Take 100 engineers to just throw a glove over the thing, and it keeps the road grime off.
Right.
On the back
So
of it.
what we learned with this Apparatus Innovations, we'll do short 1-minute videos, we'll do still photos, and we'll take pictures of those unique things. When I've looked at so many damn fire trucks now that when I go look at a truck, I'm not looking at the polished stuff that everybody looks at. I'm looking at those little nuances that sets it apart. Why did Main Street USA Fire Department put this here?
Yeah.
What's the mentality
Tactical
behind
advantage.
it? Right.
Why does this work? Yeah.
And then what I want to do is get in ahead of them, figure out why they do that, and we get to share that. And when you share that,
Yeah.
you're providing value because now you're bringing forth that nobody's ever seen before, maybe didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
And now we're sharing that. So now we do what we share tips, tricks, and hacks.
That's awesome.
It's incredible, man. It's gotten so much traction. We work with a lot of the manufacturers, and that's
Yeah.
on the social media side, and so on. But then outside of that too, we do consultation and creative consulting with media and marketing teams for manufacturers as well, because a lot of times the marketing teams, and you know this, we've talked about this, the media and marketing teams aren't firefighters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how do you advertise and market to an industry that you don't operate the
Yeah.
equipment?
I was in a meeting one
Troubling.
time. This way or that way. I was like, safer. The guys are going to climb off the top of the fire truck onto a house that's on fire. It's safer not to do that. But guess what? I still need the tools on the truck, so you can't tell me I can't build it this way. I got to
100%.
have that thing,
100%. So it's important, but it's fun for us. So National
Yeah.
Fire Radio has been a hell of a go, and not only that, but the selfish end of it. I meet the coolest dudes.
Yeah.
We're sitting here, who just walked in, and I introduced you to him, right? Mike
Yeah,
Chempo,
yeah.
like one of the biggest names in fire engineering at FDIC this year.
Yeah.
And when we're friends, and we're handshake friends, we're hugging out. Like
That's awesome.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about the relationships. And if I can do anything here today talking about FDIC,
Yeah.
walking a show and looking at the products, great. Taking
Yeah.
the training courses is good.
Yeah.
Right? It's all great.
Yeah.
How about the relationships?
Oh, yeah.
The nightlife, the conversations, the laughs. I met you. We connected on social just because I think we could be brothers.
Yeah,
You're
probably.
outgoing. I'm outgoing. We're both incredibly handsome dudes.
I think that's the case.
I get it.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, it's the relationships. You and I
Yeah.
finally got to meet, and this is the beginning of a good friendship. That's what this is about. Here's another guy walking past now, Mo Davis. He's one of the biggest rock stars here.
That's awesome.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
It's the relationships that you build. It's the handshakes and the hugs.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
So what do you think this year, like everyone before the show in the supplier world, people were like, I don't know if anyone's going to show up. Are they going to be customers? Are they going to be suppliers? What's the story? What do you think the feel's been? You think it's been good?
I think the show's good. I think attendance is down just because of, with COVID and everything. But overall, I don't care if there's 100,000 people or 20,000 people. It's the value and interaction you get with those people.
Yeah.
I'm in your booth.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
Yeah.
Every time I walk by here, you guys are engaging. You're shaking hands. You're out talking to people. You're putting a smile on and making people feel good.
Yeah.
They'll stop and talk to you.
Yeah.
I walk in booths and the salesmen are half asleep. They're eating a donut, sitting in the
Yeah.
chair that's supposed to be for guests.
That's so
like
funny,
when
yeah.
you lose track of that value,
That's true, yeah.
when you lose track of the customer's first, and when you lose track of that, you're going to lose. You guys are doing it right. We're sitting here in your booth, live streaming right now. I can't believe this isn't being done at every booth.
This is our first time ever doing this. It's
get
funny.
it.
So we set the studio up at the office. We do a lot of media content. It's different than the content you guys produce, but it's funny because I figured if we had a group here, that would be valuable. And if we didn't have a group here, we'd have a group there, and that group is valuable. And so I think it's pretty cool to have this kind of joint interaction where, we get to catch up in person. And for those that aren't here, it's cool to be able to bridge this gap. It's the first time I've ever done it. So
How about just collaborations?
man, yeah.
Right? We're talking about relationships. You're talking about, part of what the show is all about is those relationships, right?
Yeah.
You're developing new relationships and friendships. But outside of that, too, it's building community.
Yeah.
Like, community is everything.
Yeah.
You have to be a player in it. You have to be, in order to be a player and to be an authority in a community, you have to give more.
Yeah.
You got to give.
So what do you think about, in today's world, we're a business, right? We're hiring, we're looking
Get it.
for talent, and finding people that know how to, work boots should be worn out, because that means you've worked. And so when we find people and we're recruiting them, how do you inspire people to actually work and give and do the things that are valuable to our communities?
I'll tell you exactly how, by what you're doing. You work harder than anyone else in your company. When you're the boss, You work for your people.
Yeah.
Your people do not work for you. And if you believe in that mantra, you win.
I like it.
When you have a company that people come to you and say, I want to work for them.
Yeah.
Look at this culture. Look at what you're building here. It's fun. It's exciting. You're current.
Yeah.
All that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's excitement. You're going to be able to build an incredible team, but you have to recognize that if you expect something out of your people, you better be doing it 2 times over.
Yeah.
We work for the people.
Yeah.
Just like in firefighting, we're there for the people.
Yeah, exactly. That's our customers. The guy that calls 911, that's who we work for. Yeah.
You know, outside of National Fire Radio and outside of the firehouse, I had a family business for over 40 years.
Oh, really? What'd you do?
Second generation, bearings and power transmission equipment. I was a ball bearing salesman. It's like listen, it's like a freaking punchline, right?
I was about to make a joke. And I thought
you can make all the jokes you want, but the best part about it is I was in every type of industry you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
So aggregates, manufacturing, food and like
anything with a bearing. I mean,
anything
it's like
that
literally
moves.
anything spins. Yeah.
Conveyor belts, like all that stuff, right? Gearboxes, motors, pumps. I mean, I was in that business for a very, very long time.
That's awesome.
I hired and fired people.
Yeah.
And I realized very early on in a family business that I wore every single hat in that company. Yeah. I worked there from when I was 8 years old, and I'm 44 years old now.
That's
right?
Awesome.
So I wore every single hat. I appreciate every single job in that company to make to make the company succeed.
Yeah.
So you realize that you have to keep working harder and harder. It's the only way to succeed.
Yeah.
And if you want to build a culture where people want to be, whether it's the firehouse, whether it's your friend group or your personal company, you got to work your ass off.
That's it.
You got to bring value to your people.
Yeah.
You got to make your people feel good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they need to go home and believe that they put in an honest day and that you support them.
Do you think that translates to the firehouse too?
100%.
Can a fire chief take that advice and say, I'm going to do that for my people in the fire service?
Fire chief has the hardest job in the fire department. Assistant chief has the second hardest, and it goes on down.
Yeah.
Because you have to take care of your people.
Yeah.
I had a podcast this morning, and I'm talking with 2 district chiefs out of Houston, good friends, and I'm capturing their stories. Those guys are the most humble dudes you'll ever meet. They're the hardest hitting firemen I've ever met. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And all they care about is their people.
That's cool.
They have a culture where people matter.
Yeah.
They have a culture where they boost their people up so that at the end of the day, those guys go home fulfilled that they had a solid day of work.
Yeah.
And they did everything they can unconditionally for that job because that job supported them and their bosses loved them.
That's awesome. You know, I think that in the fire service, you talk about people having family businesses. You've been in business, business was 40 years old or whatever. And all these firemen, you work 11 days a month as a full-time fireman. There's so many people that are also business people. I think that firefighter-owned businesses, and we are. I mean, I'm a fireman in a small town. And we've got a lot of firemen and first responders that work in our company, and firefighters, women as well. And when you think about firefighting and business, they have so many similarities. If you can leverage that, giving back to the community, giving back to your employees, creating businesses that matter, I think that it's cool to see the business people of the fire service and the firefighters becoming the business people, because that's what grows the country, honestly.
But man, I've been walking around for the last day and a half at this show, finding all my friends that own businesses. Did you see this on social, on Instagram? I've been putting up videos of all the firefighter-owned businesses that are here.
Way. Oh, I didn't know that.
To bring them value, because this is a big ask for them. They spend a lot of money and time to come to this show. The least we could do, if I can do my little part and bring them value, I'll do that. And that's as simple as, if it's a simple 3-minute video promoting them and their product and come see them at the show, guess what? I'm giving more than I'm taking. You do the right thing, and if you do the right thing, always, you will win every single time.
That's good. It's like, don't call it the golden rule for no reason, right? I mean,
correct.
So how do you think, like business owners in the fire space, what do you think makes a firefighter naturally? I mean, if you got seen all these people that are business people around here, what makes a firefighter and a business person similar? Because they always think the same. I don't know why, but it just feels like that to me.
Alphas.
Hungry,
We're
hunting,
all the same.
getting the job done.
Think about it, right? I get in the truck and go. I go to a fire. I got a truck, 4 or 5 guys in it. We're all the same.
Yeah,
we're
that's
alphas.
True. Yeah,
we're all alphas.
That's
we're gonna. I'm stronger than you. You're stronger than me. We're gonna
compete. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna go do it. Yeah.
Right? It's the same in business. Like, you succeed in business if you hustle.
Yeah.
If you try. If you put yourself out there. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to be a business owner.
Yeah.
It's even harder to be a business owner and a firefighter.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to juggle so much.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why, for me, it's so important to bring that value to firefighter-owned businesses. But there's tons of similarities between being a firefighter and being a small business owner. Tons of similarities. It's the same game.
Yeah.
Different people.
Yeah. What was the hardest thing for you in starting your social media business, and even in the family? Like, what's been your hardest kind of obstacle you had to overcome in developing your brand?
Juggling.
Can you juggle?
2 balls, not 3.
Well, I mean, you know,
I
it's
tried-
been enough time in the ball bearing factory to pull
I know,
off,
right?
huh?
I got plenty of balls. Trust me.
Yeah.
I will say this, right? You know, for me, being here is very hard. I'm away from family. I have 4 beautiful kids. I got an incredible wife that unconditionally supports me, whether she wants to or not. She does. It's hard. Think about it, right?
Yeah.
This is National Fire Radio is a side hustle. It's a business.
Yeah.
But it's a side hustle.
What's your full time?
The family business we sold.
You're still doing that?
Well, we were acquired, and that's a whole nother
Oh yeah,
conversation.
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm still in the firehouse too. So,
Oh,
like,
wow, yeah.
this is all the things that put bread on my table. And
Yeah.
but I couldn't do it. I can't be me if I'm not allowed to be me.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that, right? I had a very hard conversations with my wife telling her that I wanted to start National Fire Radio.
Yeah.
I turned 40 years old. I felt I wasn't fulfilled. I worked for a family business my whole life outside of the firehouse. And all I did was bring value for my father and my brothers and all of our employees because I'm the guy,
Yeah.
right? I'm the guy. I wore every hat.
Yeah.
I'm the salesman. I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
So there was a tremendous amount of weight on my shoulders, and never before did I ever do anything for myself.
Interesting.
So at 40 years old, after I shook the cobwebs out after
Yeah,
my
go
birthday
compete with a
party,
bunch of 13-year-olds on social media and see if you can pull it off.
I said the American Fire Service is missing.
Yeah.
We're missing. There's a disconnect. Too many guys were leaving the fire service pissed off and disgruntled.
Yeah.
And
Instead of doing something about
and
it, hey?
taking all their experience and stories with them and not leaving them out on the table for you and I to digest and to understand. Everything's built on a foundation. The foundations are foundational blocks, and every single guy that works on the fire apparatus, works in your firehouse, and leaves has something to leave behind.
Yeah.
If we're not capturing that and pissing them off and pushing them out, we will lose. And
Yeah.
we will lose every single time.
Yeah.
So we started the podcast to capture those stories, those culture and tradition stories of guys that have been there for so long, and I didn't want them to take all their stories and experiences with them.
Yeah.
So we started the podcast, and then from the podcast, we just snowballed into apparatus stuff just because I'm an apparatus nerd.
Yeah, of
And we
course.
started doing the apparatus innovation videos, and we started doing all of that, and it's just been incredible.
That's
And the
awesome.
feedback's been awesome because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then not only that, but we're misfiring. This event has some of the biggest names in the American Fire Service. Over the last 100 years of fire engineering, they are the game.
Yeah.
They have the biggest names in the American Fire Service walking these halls with you and I. We just shook hands with a couple guys, right?
Yeah.
Like the biggest names. They're so influential. Every single person here should know who.
What advice do you give like FDIC with us and really kind of
course.
sharing some of the stuff that your story?
I love it.
It's inspirational to me. I hope it's inspirational to our followers and our friends around the country. And I really look forward to catching you here throughout the rest of the
Hell
event.
yeah, man. We're